The sea pressed in from all sides, cold, black, crushing. A stealth-class submarine glided silently through the darkness. Its alloy skin deflected sonar. Its systems ran dark. Inside, General Thaddeus Ross stood in the command capsule, flanked by his inner circle. Data crates and biohazard canisters were being sealed inside a vibration-dampened vault. 00 to 11 to 38 until crossing into international waters. Ross gripped a reinforced rail, eyes scanning live feeds. Blood crusted on his collar. His expression, unreadable. The final stage was in motion. Power reading steady. Jammers intact. "We're clean," muttered the navigator. Ross responded only with a nod and tapped in a private command. Frowny face. Activate anti-tamper protocol. Rear hull, subpressure reinforcement, engaged. Neural enforcer, online. Outside, Widow approach. Yelena drifted in the dark like a ghost. Her sub-armor mode was form-fitting, pressure rated beyond 1,500 feet. Its nanite mesh adjusting with every shift in current. Jet black, hydrodynamic, and frictionless. Around her wrists, vortex microthrusters pulsed with soft blue glow. Her HUD lit up, mapping thermal residue from the sub's quiet reactor. Target, class, FCV-6 submarine, depth, 1,234 feet, hacking impossible, analog independent system, hull rating, grade, 12 composite, no physical breach permitted, recommend, microworm port entry via secondary intake node. She smirked. Always the ducts. Yelena didn't breach the hull, not directly. She latched onto the exterior near a maintenance-grade intake node, a narrow shaft used to cycle filtered water for cooling systems. Normally sealed, but not armored like the pressure hull, the nanites on her right hand shifted, forming a spider-like device. She released a nanofilament infiltrator. It crawled into the intake shaft and deployed a localized pressure nullifier, a Stark-engineered field that simulated interior pressure just long enough to punch through without destabilizing the vessel. The device hissed, pressure equalized. A momentary window. Yelena followed, sliding through the shaft feet first like a bullet. The field sealed behind her, maintaining hull integrity. No alarms triggered. No pressure differential to alert the sub. Inside the ship, the ambient lights glowed red. She was in, interior, submarine corridor. Yelena emerged into a vent access maintenance deck, just above the engine bay. She moved fast. Silent. Focused .2 guards near the junction, standard patrol. .2 shots from a wrist-mounted silencer. Necks snapped forward. Bodies fell quietly. Her HUD pinged a warning. Combat class lifeform approaching. Sector B3. She didn't have time to hide. She shifted her stance, drew twin shock blades. Right now, she has no reason to hide and fight. Why would she when she had so many weapons to test on those motherfuckers? The combat enforcer entered. He was massive, genetically enhanced, armor-covered. No insignia. No voice. A relic of Ross's private army. The freak lunged. He was fast despite his bulk. She dodged, barely, spinning beneath its swipe and slashing upward across its side. Sparks flew. No blood. Just flesh bound to Kevlar-threaded plating. "Would you look at that? Cute." He grabbed her arm. She rotated with the motion, wrapping around his torso mid-spin, planting a fusion knife at the base of his skull. He roared, but not in pain. It was instinct. He charged backward, slamming her into the wall. Yelena gasped, teeth gritted, then yanked the knife out and jammed an EMP disc into the joint of his spine. Bzzzzzzrt. He collapsed, twitching, nervous system disrupted. So much for a freaking giant. Yelena stomped his head, splattering brains and blood all over the floor. The corridor walls were smeared with streaks of blood and oil. Bodies of Ross's elite guards littered the floor in twisted piles, some burnt, some slashed open, some crumpled like broken dolls. Sparks dripped from overhead wiring where energy blasts had overloaded circuits. Yelena moved like a force of nature, unstoppable. Unapologetic, her suit shifted modes seamlessly. One room, she used sonic dart rounds that liquefied eardrums. The next, she flicked her wrists, deploying monofilament threads that sliced through armor and flesh alike. The suit's kinetic redirection system absorbed gunfire and sent it back in calibrated bursts that turned reinforced blast doors into shrapnel. She passed 2 more guards at a choke point. One raised his rifle, THK, silenced shots. Both dropped, clean through the eyes. No hesitation. No mercy, Yelena chuckled under her breath as a flamethrower unit popped out of her gauntlet and turned a squad of waiting ambushers into walking bonfires. Tony really outdid himself. Luckily, this sub is too well made. Everything is reinforced. Wonder if I should just snag it for us? She activated Stingray mode, anti-grav boots reversed polarity, slamming her to the ceiling. A widow-angled shotgun unfolded from her shoulder module. She shot downward while sprinting along the overhead steel, raining death as armored soldiers scrambled and screamed. Main deck, just ahead, she paused at the reinforced bulkhead. 2 heavy turrets rotated toward her. Automated targeting. Aw. He got me toys. She didn't move, instead, she threw a fist-sized drone forward. It bounced once, then expanded midair into a reflective mirror. The turrets fired, the mirror snapped up to full height, a 180-degree concave shield. The bullets ricocheted, directly into the turrets themselves. Boom. Boom, turrets down. Smoke. Silence. Ha. Fuck yeah. Yelena stepped through like death incarnate. Command room. Ross sat at the helm, still calm. His guards were gone. His crew, either dead or unconscious. The only sound in the room was the low hum of the sub's engine, and the slow tap of Ross's finger on a vial of red serum. The steel doors slammed open with a hiss and a crunch of warped metal. Smoke trailed behind Yelena as she stepped into the command room like a war god in widow skin, shoulders squared, blood splattered all over her suit. She spotted Ross immediately. The man sat like a statue. Unflinching. Still tapping one finger against the red veil on the table beside him. No guards. No panic, just that smug, calculating calm of a man too proud to beg and too dangerous to leave breathing. Yelena cocked her head, eyes unreadable behind the shimmer of her HUD. General Thaddeus Ross, she said evenly, voice echoing in the silent room. You have 2 options. Ross didn't look up. Do tell. She stepped closer. Her tone didn't change. 1. You stand up, walk over here like a nice little war criminal, and come quietly. Option 2. I break every bone in your body and drag you back through what's left of your submarine by your spine. Ross finally looked up. His eyes didn't flinch. No fear. Just that old, burned-in arrogance. You don't work for S.H.I.E.L.D., he said. Your gear's custom. Your moves aren't federal. And your kills weren't military clean. You are a professional killer. Yelena said nothing. She didn't need to. Ross leaned back. You're one of them, aren't you? The Shadow Legion. Who are you people to get in my way? Yelena kept her weapons ready. Just some sane people trying to take down a lunatic. Ross's gaze flicked to the red serum again. You think this is justice? Marching in here, spouting threats, acting like you're better than me? I don't think I'm better than you, Yelena replied. I know I am. And that's not ego talking. It's just math. I've killed worse men than you before breakfast. Yelena was already scanning the vial in Ross's hand. Ross scoffed. You're just a kid in a shiny suit. Everything I did, every damn decision, was for the security of this nation. I kept threats off your doorstep before you even knew how to hold a gun. He stood slowly now, backing away from the console. Men like me don't get thank yous. We get blood on our hands, so soft little civilians like you can play dress up and pretend you're saving the world. Yelena didn't move. You tortured prisoners. You turned orphans into monsters. You built weapons out of children. For the greater good, Ross snapped. You're not a patriot, Yelena said coldly. You're just a fucking insecure monster who got scared the world wouldn't need you anymore. So you made yourself necessary with blood. Ross's smile was faint. Tight. That's where you're wrong. He picked up the red vial, held it between two fingers, scan completed, adrenaline serum, what the fuck? Just adrenaline serum? Yelena thought. I am a monster. But I'm one you can't win against. He shoved the vial into his mouth. Crack, the glass shattered between his molars. He swallowed the contents in one motion. The red fluid ran down his chin like blood. Yelena didn't wait, she rushed forward, dropped her center of gravity, and slammed a punch right into Ross's face. Well, she kinda held back. Tony wanted Ross alive after all. There was a wet crack, his nose flattened like a kicked-in tent. His body shot backward, slammed against the metal wall with a loud clang, and left a human-shaped dent. Ross groaned, grabbing his face, blood dripping between his fingers, but then, kakeek. Hey. He started laughing, not the calm, confident kind, the I have lost every marble kind. Yelena stared at him, arms folded, foot tapping. You feel that? Ross gasped out, blood running down his chin. I feel alive. She tilted her head. Yeah, that's the adrenaline. You want a gold star? Ross pushed off the wall, wobbling slightly, but a crazed smile plastered across his face. He stumbled forward like a drunk brawler seeing double. With a loud, unintelligible yell, he swung a punch at her chest. Yelena didn't even move. Thunk. Ross's knuckles collided with the nanite armor. There was a disgusting crunch. His wrist bent backward at an angle wrists were not supposed to bend. Ross howled, stumbling back, clutching his shattered hand. Yelena blinked. Once. Twice. She pointed at his wrist with pure deadpan energy. Did you seriously just try to punch reinforced armor with your bare hand? Ross, wild-eyed and shaking, screamed, I feel no pain. He threw another punch with his left hand, aiming for her helmet. Thunk, another horrible snap. Ross immediately dropped to his knees, clutching his now broken left hand too, gasping like a dying fish. Yelena's eye twitched. She stepped back just slightly, staring at him like he was the dumbest creature she had ever encountered. Yum. She was kinda lost for words. Ross slammed his broken fists against the floor, howling like a wounded animal. His voice bounced off the metal walls, raw and desperate. This isn't right, he roared, veins bulging at his temples. The serum was supposed to work. It was supposed to. Yelena crouched a few feet away, resting her elbow on her knee, watching him with mild curiosity, like he was some drunk at a party making a fool of himself. She cocked her head. Serum, huh? Who made it? Because, buddy, you look about as superhuman as a wet sandwich. Ross's eyes were wild, bloodshot. His voice cracked as he spat out the name. Norman Osborn. Yelena clapped her hands once, slow and mocking. Wow. Hold on. She stood up straight and wiped an imaginary tear from her eye. You trusted Norman Osborn? After you and your government buddies cut his funding, tried to blacklist him, and gave him what? Like a week? Ross didn't answer. He just panted, cradling his ruined hands. And now that I think about it, Norman never gave you that serum. You mofo stole it from his lab after he disappeared, right? Ha ha ha. I guess, Norman expected something like this to happen and… Ha ha ha, my SSS serum. No. It can't be. No. Ross kept mumbling. Yelena stepped closer, boots clicking against the floor. She leaned down just a little, voice syrupy sweet. You thought the guy you stabbed in the back was gonna hand you the key to becoming the next Captain America? You seriously thought that? And you thought me here wearing this high-tech suit with scanners and boosters of all kinds, let you just drink a super serum without stopping you? You really are a retard. Ross glared at her through the pain, but the hatred in his eyes was dull and empty now. She smiled wider. He gave you an adrenaline shot, you moron. A cheap one. Probably expired. And you drank it like it was liquid gold. She turned, pacing in a slow circle around him. Yelena has already done a double scan on Ross and his blood, just in case. Can't be too careful. But nope. Nothing. He was just a regular human. You thought you were about to break the world, she said, almost kindly. But Norman, he broke you first. Just a nice, warm rush to make you feel invincible for about a few seconds. Ross shook with rage, blood dripping from his shattered knuckles. I'll kill him. I'll kill all of you. Yelena stopped behind him, her tone dropping to ice. You living under the rocks? Norman is dead, she said. You're done. You're a relic. A sad, broken old man whose own ego finally caught up with him. Ross tried to rise, tried to summon something of the soldier he used to be, but his legs buckled. He fell flat, face smashing into the cold steel floor with a wet smack. Yelena crouched next to him again, tapping the side of her helmet to activate comms. Package secured. Dumb as a rock but breathing. She paused, grinning under the helmet. Permission to kick him once? Tony's voice crackled through her earpiece, dry and amused. Just once. Don't break anything important. Yelena didn't need a second invitation. She stood over Ross, measured the angle like she was lining up a golf shot, and sent a sharp, brutal kick straight into his groin. There was a wet, pitiful grunt. His body jolted once and then went limp. Yelena tilted her head. That looked satisfying. She pulled a coil of electric rope from her belt. With efficient, almost lazy movements, she flipped Ross over, ignoring the pathetic groans escaping his bloodied lips. The rope wrapped tight around his wrists and ankles, crackling to life with a low hum as it hardened into a locking sequence. No way he was going anywhere, even if he woke up. She slung him over her shoulder like a sack of potatoes, dragging his sorry weight back toward the bridge. Sliding into the captain's seat, Yelena hacked the manual control interface. It was old school, analog heavy, a pain in the ass, but nothing she couldn't figure out with a few minutes and some creative violence toward the control panel. Sub-thrusters engaged. Yelena guided it back to the Horizon Island. Meanwhile, Ross base, at what was left of Ross's secret base, Tony and the widows moved fast. The survivors lay scattered across the field, groaning, broken, barely alive. Some were missing limbs. Others were so deep in shock they didn't even register the world around them. Tony didn't hesitate. He activated the Bionanite deployment system on his left gauntlet, a cloud of microscopic machines surging from his palm. The widows followed suit, directing streams of shimmering mist toward the wounded. The nanites latched onto the injured soldiers, weaving new flesh, fusing broken bones, repairing shattered organs with a quiet, almost reverent efficiency. Within seconds, the worst of the dying stabilized. Those too far gone and were one breath away from dying were brought back thanks to the regeneration properties in his bionanites. However, too many died. Too much blood spilled. Tony didn't flinch. Death was still death. But the ones he could save, he did. Tony, one of the widows called out, pointing at the mutated humans. The remains of the mutated goblins. Dead now, but still radiating faint, unstable biosignatures. Tony pulled out a series of sample vials and containment capsules. Carefully, methodically, the team harvested blood, tissue, and bone marrow. Every cell could tell a story. Every cell might lead to answers about the nightmare Ross tried to unleash. Once finished, he stood back, surveying the grim harvest. The survivors from the tactical team thanked them for saving their lives. Tony asked them to take the remnants of their comrades and clear the area, which they did without a question. Within 15 minutes they cleared the area. Tony made sure to scan each of them for blood traces from those monsters before letting them go, then, burn them down. Don't leave a single trace of these monstrosities, Tony ordered. The widows flew around dropping incendiary grenades, burning down all the traces of mutated humans to prevent others like the government or any other shadow agency from using them to create another army of monsters. The stench of burning flesh swept over the area. They regrouped at the base's ruined command center. Or what was left of it. The doors were ripped open, the inside scorched black. Terminals smashed. Servers reduced to molten slag. Files burnt to ash. Someone had cleaned house before the widows ever arrived. Tony scanned the wreckage, helmet visor flickering through layers of detection, nothing salvageable, not even a trace. He let out a sharp breath through his teeth. Son of a bitch. He torched everything. Well, Yelena got Ross, so that's a good thing. Let's go. He turned and walked out of the command center. The widows followed. They rose into the sky as one, repulsors flaring soft blue under the dark clouds. The wind howled around them, the blood and smoke of the battlefield faded beneath their feet, the night swallowed them whole. But this war, it was just beginning. The storm above was endless. Wind screamed across the frozen wasteland, drowning the world in white. Buried deep beneath the glacier, the ancient facility stirred, not a place of science. A place of survival. A place where rules had died long ago. At its heart, inside a dark steel chamber lined with analog machines and humming life support units, an old man Saturday. The body was more machine than flesh now. Spinal tubes. Metal ribs. Synthetic blood is circulating through plastic veins. But his mind. His mind was sharp. Too sharp. He watched the monitor. Lines of information scrolled across the cracked screen. News feeds. Intelligence reports. Satellite intercepts. Emergency communications. Oscorp executive, dead, General Thaddeus Ross, captured, unidentified hostile force, detected. He leaned closer, grainy footage played, black armored figures moving with terrifying speed, nanite clouds healing the wounded, metal and flesh fused together in ways he had only theorized, never achieved. He slowed the footage. Frame by frame, the armor. Too advanced. Not military. Not Oscorp. He froze the frame and sat back, mind racing. Decades. No, a century of work. Attempts to merge man and machine. To create hybrids that wouldn't rot, wouldn't die, wouldn't betray, and now, someone had done it, someone had built what he had only dreamed. No, they did it even better. His machines whirred louder around him as his heart rate spiked. The life support systems pumped faster, trying to keep pace with the surge of adrenaline his failing body could barely survive. Phew. Things just got interesting.